Welcome to another episode of Mystical Minutes. Today, I want to talk to you about crystal skulls and how I went from completely not understanding what they are and what they're for to absolutely loving to work with them and to spend time with them and even to carve them. So my story is I've always liked crystals, but more like the rough ones, the natural points, or maybe the spheres. I like spheres, but not like statues, images. I never liked those. I preferred them in their natural state. Somehow, I kept seeing these skulls pop up. Like when I searched online or in shops, I kept seeing the crystal skulls. And to the point where it started to get on my nerves or making me feel annoyed because I didn't understand. I thought, why on earth would people want to buy a crystal in the shape of a skull? If anything, maybe I would buy an animal shape, like a power animal. But what's so great about skulls? Because they're about death and what are they supposed to make you feel tough or hip? I don't know. I didn't know the purpose. And I kept dismissing them and they kept appearing to me. Then I got more and more intrigued and started reading about why people choose to have crystal skulls. And then I discovered that it is more a symbol of consciousness, of wisdom, of ancestors, of connecting to your higher self, like in some way a neutral mirror. And I read that people talk to them and they talk back, and you can ask them their name and they give you their name. And then I felt really skeptical. I mean, I'm open to many spiritual things. I always have been, but this, to be honest, I didn't really believe in it. But since they kept showing up, I decided to try it out. And what I got was this one. This is my very, very first. It's a quartz one, quite simple, doesn't have any obvious, remarkable. I mean, you can hardly make out the face because it's all white. It's not even clear. Doesn't have any special features that you can tell. So I got him in the mail. And I just wanted to experiment what it would do for me to see if it was true. And I remember I took it with me everywhere I went that day. So at one point I was in the kitchen and I think doing the dishes or something like that. And I looked at this skull and I said, "So, what's your name?" And then I heard in my mind the name Fidelio. And I thought to myself, that's funny. I just made that up somehow. Or was it that the skull told me in my mind that it was his name? I didn't know what to think. And so I was having these doubts and second guesses until the evening. And I took him into my bed and I slept with him in my hand like this. And then a strange thing happened because during the night, at least 10 times, he woke me up. I just woke up from whatever dream I was having. I don't remember. The only thing I remember is I woke up hearing the same message over and over again. And I wrote it down because I keep forgetting the detail. I heard, "My name is Fidelio, Spain, 1452." And he kept repeating, like, "My name is Fidelio, Spain, 1452." See, I can't remember. I wrote it down as I heard it because it was too. It doesn't have any meaning for me. Spain, 1452. And at that point, because now I want to move to Spain, but back then I wanted to move to France. So I had no emotional connection to Spain whatsoever. And well, Fidelio is a Spanish name, probably. But the fact that it woke me up so many times during the night and in the morning, I just accepted, okay, that's his name and that's who he is. And there was another instance with this one. It's just white. Nothing else really shows, I can show it to you. It's very bright white. But I woke up during the night and I looked at him and a blue light was coming from this skull, from within it and all around it. And I remember I picked it up and looked at it from all sides, like, how's that possible? Because it's just white. Where is the blue coming from? I still don't know. It was just like a magical experience to me. And since that moment, you could say I was kind of obsessed with it, wanting to learn more. So I read books about working with skulls, how it even works. And I started collecting different kinds of crystal skulls, different materials, not just quartz, but all the other gemstones and half gemstones and different sizes and different shapes. And I have discovered that the material certainly has its influence, like it has with regular crystals, but also the shape does something to it. Like, for example, this one is more rounded, so it spreads the energy differently. And this one is like it has more angles to it and a completely different shape. So you will notice that in working with this skull. And I kept getting names and messages. And one explanation I've read is that the skull is like, you can compare it to having a mobile phone. When you want to connect to someone, you just pick up the phone, and it's like you both agree that when you both pick up the phone, you can talk to each other, even though there's something like telepathy that should be possible, but we've decided we communicate through phone waves. And that works, right? You just push the number and you get the person you want to talk to. And skulls can be like that, that some kind of spirit connects to the skull when it is made, or maybe when you buy it and you connect to it. And then it becomes like the device to call that helping guide or spirit to you. That's one explanation. Another one is that it is actually yourself you're speaking to, like your higher self or your unconscious. And maybe it could be both sometimes. And maybe there's not really a difference after all. I'm not sure what it is. I only know that it works. I know it works for me and it works for many people I've met through our shared crystal skull love, you could say. After collecting them, after a while, I discovered I could carve them. And then it becomes even more magical for me because I get messages while I am carving the skulls. Like sometimes they tell me what to do, and sometimes they won't tell me, but they show me. Sometimes they give me some information, especially if it's a commission order, like made specifically for a person. Then they give me a message and details about this person's life that I have no idea about. And sometimes I feel a bit silly to pass on the message like, okay, your skull's finished. This is what I heard. I don't know what it means, but I'm telling you anyway. Hope it makes sense. And it's until now, it's always been like, oh my goodness, something like that. That was just what I needed to hear because my situation is this and this. And yeah, so it's a very personal, specific message. Sometimes it comes in dreams even before I carve the stone. Sometimes I sleep with a stone in my hand before I carve it, and then I have an amazing dream that has a special meaning for the person I'm carving it for. I can share another instant with you. It was about 10 months ago. I was in a very difficult situation financially. Like, I just lost my job and I have three children to take care of and a rather expensive rental house. And I've been in this kind of situation before, and it's like you call all the people you can call, like the landlord and local government, whatever you can do, and the answer is always the same. Oh, I'm very sorry for your situation. It sounds very difficult, but there's nothing we can do. And if you don't pay your rent, you have 3 months and then you'll be homeless, that kind of situation. So I was I was very tired. I was sad. I was scared. I was confused. And I looked at my growing skull collection and I realized that there was quite a bit of money in it already. And but then I thought of not being able to buy food for my children, maybe. And I felt this huge sadness, the idea of letting the skulls go. But then I got an idea. So I speak to my skulls, right? They speak back to me. So I treat them like any other person I love. I told them I love you very much. I respect you very much. And I thank you for being part of my life. But I really need money right now to pay my bills. I need money to buy food. So if I don't get a job from home within 2 weeks, I'm going to have to sell you. 3 days later, I had a job. Could be coincidence, right? But it doesn't feel like it to me. Then there's another special thing I'd like to share with you. It's about this special being. She came from one of my closest friends. We met through skulls. And this is Nebula. She's obsidian. And I don't know if you can see how amazing these eyes are. They are formed naturally. I didn't carve them. I can try to show it to you closer to the camera. Do you see the bands of obsidian going through the eyes? They're like pools. You can kind of lose yourself into having visions and all that. But there were only eyes. So there was no nose, no mouth. And my dear friend sent this one to me, this special one, to carve a face if I saw one. And then, of course, this happened. But while I was working with her, I noticed something. When I turned it around, I saw another face. And that became the second skull. And there she is. And her name is Agape. See? And something happened to her. She had an accident. You can see here. She used to be whole. Then, when I finished carving her, my friend told me she would really like to receive them back again. So I shipped this beautiful two-sided being to the United States. And when they arrived there, my friend said they wanted to come back to me so she couldn't keep them, and she sent them back to me again. But on the way back to me, this eye accident happened. And the strange thing is, I remember so well, I was riding my bike when this happened. I was on my bike, and this eye, there was a wasp that flew and that crashed into my right under my eye here. And because it was this collision, the wasp stung me right under my eye, and it really hurt so much. And of course, it got swollen, and tears were rolling from my eye from the pain and the reaction. And then I got home and I found the box and I opened it and I saw these shards of obsidian, and the eye was damaged. And I've always wondered if I just shared that experience with this skull when this eye got damaged, or that somehow the skull protected me from a bee sting in my eye, and like it helped disperse the energy somehow so that I would not be in danger of losing my eye. It's just, I have no way to prove this, of course, but it's a very interesting experience, no matter how you look at it. And by the way, I've never had any official education in carving skulls, but I felt called to do it. And there are some instances where, for example, something gets into my eye while I'm carving and I don't see very well. And just then I will hear a voice like, "Oh, don't worry, we got you." And then just my hand moves and finishes the job, and I don't even see what I'm doing. Working with electric tools, it just it just happens. And for instance, with this one, I remember it took a long time because it's so big. It's 9 kilos. It's a huge sodalite skull. It's a huge piece of sodalite. And I was working with this one, and I remember saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's taking so long to finish you, but you're big and it just takes a lot of time." And then I heard, "Oh, don't worry about it. I've waited for so long. I can wait a bit longer." And that sounded funny to me. And later in this process, later in the process of carving this skull, I heard saying, "We have to get the word out." I still don't know what that means exactly, but it is what I heard. So that's that. And for example, this one, I carved this one from orange selenite. And for some reason, it wanted to have a hat on. And it's like these these Inca shaman hats. Could show it to you. It's like one of these. See? So I carved it. So it's an Inca shaman skull connecting to the Inca lineage. Um, yeah, I've noticed all the skulls have different personalities, and some like making jokes, some are very serious, some are very kind of tough love kind of attitude. I never know what's it going to be until I really start carving them and working with them. And I enjoy the connection and connecting the skull to the person buying the skull. That's very special. That feels very intimate and personal. I can honestly say that since I started with Fidelio, that my life has changed. I've had so many insights and so many synchronicities. I feel like I've really grown spiritually and personally, like being on a higher level somehow. One more interesting fact that I've read is when people carve skulls, that like the soul, as they say, or the energy, the personality of the skull, it really comes in when you carve the eyes. And I know there's like professional carvers, the way they do it, the eyes come at a certain point when the rest of the skull already has some shape. But for me, I usually start carving the eyes very early in the process of carving the skull, and they just guide me on from there because I don't always know what it wants to look like until the eyes are there. And then they just start speaking. And sometimes that's in sound or in images or in feelings, sensations, and then I just know what to do. That's the best way I can explain it. And of course, there's many ways you can work with skulls, both on a personal level and for healing, for example. And that's a very interesting topic I should keep for another video, I think, or else this one will be very long. I hope by giving my honest experience that I do realize is very personal, but I hope it helps you get an idea of what it can mean to have a crystal skull in your life. And it's worth a try. And really, does it matter how it works if it's like an ancestor or a helping spirit or your own higher self or your unconscious? Doesn't matter at all as long as the wisdom keeps pouring into you. Doesn't matter where it comes from, as long as it's beautiful and pure and true. It doesn't matter to me, at least. Yeah, that's my piece of practical wisdom. Just try it out and let me know. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.